Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there, welcome back.
So this is a quick one, guys, just again to reiterate what we've been saying for years about being prepared for what's coming. And hey, we're there.
Here we are, kids. Did we check and make sure it's running?
I will check.
Okie dokie, we're just going to make sure because sometimes it's not. But we're good. Thanks, kids.
And so our good friend David Devine said, "You see this?" and sent me this article, which I always check Zero Hedge, but somehow I missed this one. And, you know, there's so much to keep up with that's coming out by the hour. Food crisis about to get a lot worse after China says winter wheat condition could be the worst in history. The worst in history. Now, many countries have stopped their exports of food and other items as well. And then, of course, we have the conflict. All this is leading up to scarcity, rising costs, and it's going to lead to some people panicking. And I'm seeing that when we looked on some forums. Godlike Productions, for instance, is a CONS piracy forum, and one guy on there was just basically talking about he's in Seattle. I think Seattle, and he was talking about the food situation, the gas prices, and about how his kids are struggling and going to have to make decisions on what are they going to do. And now luckily he'll help them out, as he seems to be somebody with some means. But what about the average people, where you can't turn to mom or dad or grandma or grandpa, or maybe a better off sister, brother, friend? Hey, I got to make a decision between keeping warm, being able to drive to work, or going hungry.
These are some really important things that we're looking at. These things are really serious times, and I do hope that we can get through this, as a collective, and just keep focusing on being better for it, learning to work with other people, learning to work with our families, and pulling through this as a collective.
So, the condition of China's winter wheat crop could be the worst in history, the agricultural minister said on Saturday, according to Reuters, raising concerns about grain supplies in the world's biggest wheat consumer. Speaking to reporters on the sidelines of the Chinese regime's annual political meetings, Minister of Agriculture and Rural Affairs Tang Ranjian said that heavy rainfall last year delayed the planting of about 1/3 of the normal wheat acreage. A survey of winter wheat crop taken before the start of winter found that the amount first and second grade crop was down by more than 20 percentage points. Not long ago, when we went to Grassroots to do a survey, and many farming experts and technicians told us crop conditions this year were going to be the worst in history, he said. And this year's grain production indeed faces huge difficulties. So you might still find plenty of food, on your shelves. I think most people are getting used to going into the store and, okay, well, this third is empty, this third of this row looks okay, and the other one's kind of spotty, and maybe next time you come and it's a little bit better, maybe next time you come it's a little bit worse. The long-term prognosis is things are going to be a lot more expensive and they're going to get more scarce.
Right. They're trying to move us into a whole new system. And as we do this, there's definitely going to be, I don't want to call them growing pains, but they're going to be like growing pains.
Absolutely. So the minister's comments underscore the concerns about China's grain supply at the same time as the war between Russia and Ukraine, which together account for 29% of global wheat exports, has disrupted supplies, causing wheat prices to surge to 14-year highs. And just think about this, because if, say, Ukraine stays free, mostly free, then obviously they're not going to be exporting to Russia whatever they get. And of course, their whole production is going to be disrupted now with a war going on. This is what happens in war. This is why, war leads to famine, leads to pestilence. It's like a cycle, one of the horsemen after the other. They just kind of follow each other. It's a natural progression of things. And of course, you add in all of the crazy weather and artificial flavoring that's been going on. And it makes for a perfect symphony of destruction that you almost I think us that watch it so closely, you can't conceive of anything happening like this organically. It just is kind of beyond the scope to think of it being purely organic. And there's truly nothing in this world organic anymore.
No, it's not. It's very synthetic.
German agricultural trader criticizes Hungary's grain export stop because they're going to hold on to their own food. This is what like David and Christian have been saying the whole time. You get to, you're at that point when countries stop sending abroad their food and they start holding it onto it themselves. And Ukraine is stopping exports, but not the transit of natural gas. And we'll have to see how this goes too, because again, who's going to control the country? And we did I thought it was just a funny little video up on Evolutionary today, showing the many talented leader of Ukraine. It's interesting to see how many of our global leaders have some acting ability.
And he definitely has that.
Russian Deputy Prime Minister Alexander Novak threatens to embargo oil exports, halting gas supplies through Nord Stream 1. Yeah, everything's going to a much higher level of intensity, to say the least. The world could be on the brink of an energy crisis rivaling the 1970s. It will surpass that more than likely because, again, this is part of the Great Reset. You have to get it to a place where people will just say, I give. When the populace is ready to tap out because they can't take it anymore, then they'll agree to whatever certain people, Klaus Schwab, are going to offer.
That's what they're going to do, and that's why we always keep harping on the self-sufficiency, because the more of that buffer we can create for ourselves and friends and family around us, the more opportunity is going to stay open for us.
Biggest stock slide on Wall Street since 20, as the oil is surging. Oil traders bet prices are going to pass $200 a barrel this month. It's at like 130-ish today, so that's a huge increase. And of course, it takes a little bit to translate because there's the whole processing thing on. U.S. national gas price is averaging over $4.10 a gallon. Yeah, it's wow. It's going way up. So what does that mean? Are they trying to tell us that California is going to be paying $10, $11, $12 a gallon? And the rest of us might be paying somewhere between 8 and 10.
Yeah, it kind of feels that way.
Anything to bring in an all-electric world, I guess, that's next on the list. And we know it's going to be totally based on carbon credits. They've already told us everything. They already always tell us everything.
They do. They're very good at it, too.
You will own nothing. You will be happy. They've told us this. They've totally told us this. Palladium steadies from record high on Ukraine crisis, and spot gold went up to and over $2,000 briefly, $2,000 an ounce. So 1997.91 gold futures. Gold's going up. And we also see number 46 set to sign an executive order this week directing federal agencies to examine the potential regulation of cryptocurrencies, like Bitcoin. So again, ultimately there's going to be one monetary system for the entire planet. There's going to be a carbon-based system. This is why Gil Bates has bought up so much farmland so that he gets more carbon credits.
And that's really going to benefit him. How about that?
Absolutely. California lawmakers are choosing this time to target factory farms and slaughterhouses because of cruelty to animals. Now, that is one subject. Should there even be factory farms and slaughterhouses? And we're not going to delve into that, but we're just going to mention the timing of this. At a time when food is getting scarcer and scarcer, prices are going higher and higher, this legislation's going into effect. And you could see certain states are totally on board with the whole new system, the NWO system that's coming into effect. Other states not so much on board, just as certain nations completely on board, other nations not completely on board. So will Victory Gardens make a comeback? Obviously, yes. Remember Planet Victory Garden. Our food is fighting. A garden will make your rations. Uh-oh.
Oh, the word.
Yeah, rationing's coming. Yeah. And we've been saying this for a long time. Rationing is coming. Always knew it's going to be coming. It's part of everything that's been in part of the plan.
Well, it seems like we were getting that vocabulary word rations kind of introduced to us when the plague upon the land came.
Yeah, it's just one step after the other. One step after the other. Carnage everywhere. Markets beginning to break. No other way to describe today's market carnage than a market in turmoil where things are rapidly breaking. As the sudden disappearance of Russia's toxic commodity collateral is suddenly sparking contagion and widespread liquidations. In a nutshell, it's a mess, but it's a orchestrated symphony.
A very well orchestrated symphony indeed.
And Shell is limiting some heating oil sales in Germany. Shortages developing. Many people are scrambling. They are scrambling. We talked to one family member today that moved, albeit they didn't move far. We talked to another one briefly that's in the process of moving out of California. We know so many people. It seems like, gosh, I don't know. It seems like maybe 25% of the people we talk to are either moving or have just moved. They're positioning themselves where they feel like their families are going to have the best chance of surviving these times.
I mean, that's something that's really difficult to grab a scope on. If you had to uproot everything, just to go be closer to family. And that really takes a lot when you uproot your job, you uproot the kids. But we're looking at things like this, so we do have a better chance.
And we did get a message from the Galactics this morning, and it was one of the fact that there may be various reasons that force more mass migrations of people, and they've spoken about that in the past. It could be because of war. It could be because of what's going to appear to be natural disasters, earth changes related. They did talk about technologies being used at the poles to put pressure on certain plates that could end up causing earthquakes of significance. Look to Tonga. Again, artificial flavoring obviously involved. I think it was what's her name? Gina Marie Colvin Hill, something like that. But she did a video. One of you guys sent us a thing of hers where she did a video where they were showing what really looked to be a laser out in space, and of course she had done that too, and others as well as caught that during some wildfires. So, the artificial flavoring, the technical component of things, it's really there. These are most definitely times where self-sufficiency is everything.
It really is, and it's time to just really kind of get into that and get growing, because a lot of times when you start a garden, it might even take a couple years to get good at it. So we all got to do what we can do now.
Absolutely. So this is I'll have the link for you guys. I'll put it first. The Beginner's Guide to Survival Balcony Gardening. And you could adjust it if you have some, good southern exposure windows. Figure out ways to, maybe put layers of plants in front of the window. Maybe you build a shelf system and just, the whole southern exposure is just window full of food plants. And, if you live in an apartment, it could be a huge challenge. And we're talking vegetables here, things like beets and beans and carrots and chives and kale and lettuce and onions, etc. Peppers, peas, onions. Gives you the average height of these different veggies. Think about production and space, and then, cost. You have to think about all these things. The three sisters that the Native Americans planted, which was, let me think again, it was squash, corn, and what was that third one? Beans. Yep. And they basically worked together synergically to even make the soil better for each other. So planting like that, taking advantage of space, you could grow a lot in a little space. You really can. Fruits are another consideration, but dwarf trees, you probably could get a dwarf lemon or a dwarf lime tree and keep it in the apartment. Keep it on the balcony. Keep it somewhere where you're getting some sunlight on it and it stays warm. So, you might go with hydroponics or terrace trays. You could put pots and things like that in spots that, maybe you don't have anything, or maybe you have something decorative there. But, in these times, you got to be thinking food production.
Right. We should get our friend Dave from the UK back in, because he shows how much food you can grow in such a small space. He's fantastic at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And our brother Joe Free, mentioned him again, I think 2 days in a row. He's got a pretty cool hydroponic system in place, utilizing something along these lines, but actually quite larger. And, I mean, look at all the lettuce you could start growing in a short amount of space. And say, when we're doing things like that, you might think spinach for nutritional value. And that's another thing to look into. What gives you the best nutritional value? We have like 20 or 30 of these terrace trays that we had stacked up. And, we will get going in earnest now on our gardening, as we're just about in the right time of the year to get it rolling. So be prepared, guys. We want to thank everybody for your support over on Patreon and Ko-Fi. Also, Medicinal Foods, make sure you use coupon code EEA. It gets you a discount. It does also support the channel. And check out evolutionaryenergyarts.com if you need to set up a session. It's evolutionaryenergyarts at gmail.com or EEARTS at protonmail.com. And, please do allow about 2 weeks to set up a time, a little bit more maybe for a Vedic chart.
Yes, and thank you so much for all your support. Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.